Okay, so I'm going to work with the voiceless dental fricative sound and the voiced alveolar fricative voiced sound j here. So first of all, these are consonant sounds, and the sound is produced by bringing the tongue at the back of the upper teeth and letting the air out with a friction, and it becomes th sound. It can also be produced by protruding the tongue in between the upper teeth and the lower teeth, and it's a fortis voiced sound. Talking about the j sound, it's also made by friction, and the blade front part of the tongue is raised towards the alveolar ridge, and it is just nearly there, and with the friction sound, the voice with a voiced sound, the j sound is produced. And secondly, the vowel sounds, two diphthongs that I'm going to do is ow sound, and the second one is o sound. Both are diphthong sounds ending in o sounds. When considering the ow sound, it begins with a normal lip position, and then the glide moves towards u to the front part. But in the case of the o sound, it starts with the schwa sound, and at that time also the lip is at the central, it's a normal position, and then it moves backwards towards the u sound, and then it becomes o sound. In both of these diphthongs, the first sound is a bit longer than the second sound before it makes the glide. And also, as the lip moves from the initial position to the last, to the final position, the initially normal lip position becomes into a rounded u position at the end of these two diphthongs while producing these two. And one similarity while producing these two diphthong sound is that the soft palate is raised during the articulation of these two sounds as well. Now I'm going to describe how I helped my learners to produce the voiceless consonant th sound, and also the diphthong sound o sound, which begins with schwa and then ends with u. The learners were in between B1 and B2 level, and there were 15 students in the classroom with an age between 17 and 25. The reason why I chose the th sound and the diphthong o sound is because both of these sounds do not exist in the L1, which is Malayalam. It's one of the Indian languages in the south part. Because of the lack of existence of these two sounds, the students or the learners are not being able to pronounce these words correctly when they speak or during an examination. For example, the IELTS test, where a majority of my learners are going to attend and take the exam and to study for further studies in English-speaking countries. So pronunciation is one aspect that they have to pay real attention to, so that they can improve and also get good score, good bands in their IELTS exam as well. Considering the huge motivation from the learners, teaching these two sounds were at the same time very difficult, and at the same time it was very rewarding experience as well. When I asked them what two parts of their mouth are getting in touch when they produce the sound f, and they said it's upper teeth. And to teach the dental fricative voiceless consonant th, I first helped the learners. I made them pronounce the consonant sound f, and then I kept them repeat after me, and it's a voice sound as well. Then I told them I'm going to replace the lower teeth with my tongue, so that slowly they get to pronounce the word th, begin with f. So they would start by saying f. So I made the drill several times chorally to the complete class, and also individually, and I asked them to produce these sounds by standing up in the classroom and then saying these sounds to each other, and then I would go and check whether they make it, whether they made it correctly, and I could correct some of those errors as well. And then afterwards I introduced the other sound, O sound, and to help the learners memorize or make an association for this sound. So the way I helped learners to produce the O sound is by using the word hello. So I asked them to keep their mouth in the normal position, so they will say without using any of the other physical characteristics inside their mouth. And then I asked them to produce the O sound, and then slowly moving from sound to the O sound and making that exaggerated voice. I asked them to repeat after me with the voice and then O, and O several times, and finally getting into the sound O at the end. And then I told them to repeat the phrase hello with me several times, and then I did that drilling with them several times. And then the activity that I followed, that this drilling was followed by making them into different groups and pairs, and then I gave them a chart with these two sounds with mixed words, and then I also gave them a dice to throw it on. And then so there were 2 to 3 students in one group, and they would throw these dice to the chart, and whenever the dice falls, it will be either in a word that has the sound or in a word that has the diphthong O sound. And they have to produce that, they have to pronounce that word first, and then they have to write a sentence with the word, and then have to read it to the rest of the group as well. And so that activity was quite interesting, so it kept going on. And also I tried to help them with the correct articulation of these sounds whenever they made a mistake. So by helping them with these two sounds, they could raise their confidence a little bit, so that they could produce it in the exam, use it in the exam as well, to gain the band and the score they desired.